when you try to do something like an amigurumi or little animal in that same style, you're going to definitely want to do single crochets in the round. And if you look at my last video, it's the V-stitch in the round. It kind of works the same, but you have a lot more stitches to do. So I always start with 6. You can do, I do a magic circle. You can also do a 4-chain circle or 4-chain loop, which you would have to tighten at the end of it. Where a magic circle, you can go ahead and tighten it as much as you need to. I try and make it so the hole is about the same size. So I should be able to get a hook through there. I'll get a needle through there anyway, because I have to sew hair. And so I definitely would run it wide enough to fit a needle in there. And then you're going to do 2 into each of these 6, the next row. And the third row is going to be 1 single, 1 increase, 1 single, 1 increase, and so on and so forth. Now, when I do it with a seam. You can do it where you have a stitch marker, and the stitch marker will make it so you can do it continuously all the way around. I prefer the way that it just is more flat and stays not in a spiral for me. I like that. I like just the circles themselves. So I will have the seam. So when I have to increase, I will do a single and then an increase, single and increase. When I go to do my decrease, so you have a section where there's no increases, and then you've got the decrease. I will start with a decrease and end with a single, or whatever I started with. So if I start with an increase in each row of the increases, I would start without the decrease in there. But you can see here, I'm going from the bottom up. I started with it, or a decrease really. I started with the decrease. So as we work with it, we're just going to do the loop, the magic circle, and it's just going to be 6 single crochets. We're not counting in this case where you sometimes count your chain as a stitch. This one, it will not be counting as a stitch. It is a stitch, but it won't be counting as one of the single crochet stitches. So we have to do 6 full ones. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Go ahead and close that loop. Oh, again, we want to have it a little bit open so we can get a needle in there. Even though this is not going to be completed, I like to leave a little bit of a hole there, not solid closed. Now, I'm going to chain 1 to raise up my row. I'm going to go right into the first single crochet and do 2. So count those. We're not counting this one chain here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm going to join into the top of the first single crochet from row 2. And here is row 3. I'm going to do 1 single and then an increase, single, increase, single, increase. And it's going to be the same all the way around. Now we're going to move on to row 4, but I'm going to point something out. As you're working in the round, you're going to notice that this will curl up. This is your inside. This is not the outside. You're going to have to force it to make sure that the outside is outside, because it will automatically curve inward. For the next row, we're going to do single, go to the next single crochet, single, go to the third single crochet, and do an increase. So that's going to be the way that it works each time. So you're increasing 6 times each time, because you started with 6, and every time you increase, you're increasing by 6. And that's going to be the pattern all the way across. It's going to be single, single, increase, single, single, increase. I went ahead and did 2 rows of no increases. So we have the last one we did was two singles and 1 increase, and then I did 2 rows of no increases, just to show you how to do the decrease part. So since I started with the single and not the increase, I'm going to start with the decrease. That is just to keep the line as straight as I can. This doesn't always work, but it's been pretty consistent for me lately. So I just pull up 2 loops, 1 in this single crochet, then 1 in that single crochet, and then just loop them together. And because I did 2 singles before, I'm going to do 2 singles now. So this pattern goes in to decrease, single, single, decrease, single, almost decrease, single. With the next row is going to be decrease, single, and then you'll see that decrease right there, and that's where your next decrease is going to be. There it is again. And that's going to be your pattern all the way across. It's going to be decrease, no decrease, decrease, no decrease. And see how it's starting to curl in? I've knotted that tail, so there's no problem that it's going to undo in there. It gets a little bit trickier because right in the last one, they're going to be decreasing. You have to keep decreasing the entire time. So there are no regular ones. It's all decreases all the way around. With this one, should end with 6, but no promises. All right, one more. So let's see. Finding where they are. Okay. I have to find the very first one. There it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you're going to end going to the top of that first decrease. And then you would just knot that off and tie it. I didn't bring scissors over to this area. But now you've got a big hole, which you can fill. That's where your stuffing is going to go into if you're filling this. And then you just sew, you do a whip stitch around and pull that real tight, and you've got a ball.